So, hey guys, today we're talking about another goofy legacy card. So, today we're talking about way where there's a will. So, during the main phase, the turn player can activate this effect, excavate cards from the top of your deck up to the number of cards your opponent controls. So, if my opponent controls 5 cards, I would excavate 5, and we will add one of them to our hand, and then we place the rest of the excavated cards uh, back into the deck. So, uh, specifically at the bottom of the deck, sometimes this matters, sometimes it doesn't. And we also place one card from our hand to the bottom of the deck as well. So, essentially, this card doesn't even go even. All right, so if my opponent has, let's say, 3 cards on their field and I activate way where there's a will, so immediately at this point in time, I have, I guess since my opponent has played a card, we would have started with 6 cards in hand. So now we would have 5 cards in hand. And then when we activate the effect to excavate, we get to add 1 card. So that'll put us back to 6. And then we put back a card from our hand. So that puts us back at 5 cards. So this card actually is a -1 overall. But it does have the funny effect of course, during the end phase of any turn a player excavated 9 or more cards at once by this card's effect, that player can activate this effect. Shuffle all cards your opponent controls and in their graveyard into the deck. So this kind of resets the game state. So it's not even that great, because technically, if my opponent has their extra deck monsters not banished and in the graveyard, they can just summon them, but again, so an example of this would be like if we were playing against yugioh, this would just happen. Even if our opponent like lets this resolve, right? That this happens in end phase, it shouldn't be that big of a deal to them. But all right, we need to specifically also excavate either 9 or more cards at once by this card's effect. And then let's count the zones as well while we're here. So if we're talking about monster zones, we have the 5 main monster zones and then the extra monster zone. So if we fill out all of those, that puts us at 6. And then if we are playing all of the spell trap zones possible, that will be an additional 5, putting us at 11, plus field spell puts us at 12. So even if Yubel went ahead and did full combo, we would end on, let's see, we have Phantom of Yubel, Apollosa, Unchained Soul of Rage, and then the Unchained back row only being 4 cards. So we would have like 5 additional to deal with. So even if our opponent sets like every single spell trap possible from the hand, so in this case it would be an additional 4, considering they would have done a 1 card combo, that about adds up. That would put our opponent at 8 cards, so that it's still not even 9 for where there's a will. And if we were playing against Ritual Beast, I think they might be at like 7 monsters controlled or something, plus maybe a back row to around 7-ish cards. Once again, around 7 or 8, so right below the 9 here. And of course, you can just pop this, but yeah, that's a bit rough. But you know, the one good thing is this is just like prosp on crack. If we just look at how many cards you excavate and get to add 1 for, that is the one good thing about this card. But downside, but what if I'm going first? My opponent may just control what is called 0 cards, unless, I don't know, we gave them cards, which is like doable, I guess. But that seems like kind of annoying. Why don't we just find a way to just search whatever card we need instead of randomly excavating, like, I guess at most it would be 5. So yeah, that's a bit wild, a bit annoying, but it is, I guess, a funny card. But yeah, I just don't really see this being usable like ever. Nor can I figure out like a format where this would be useful. Like, when exactly will my opponent control this many cards? It's like, I guess if I'm playing against DD exactly, but You know, at that point you do have removal for way where there's a will, and even if you didn't, if you just like I guess let way where there's a will resolves, uh, just both effects, I guess, and then we just I don't know negate our opponent a billion times. It's not like we don't have follow up because this probably doesn't get rid of all of our follow up. It kind of depends, I guess, on what you're playing. Against Snake Eye, this does get rid of your follow up, I guess, so that's a little bit useful. But also, you only control like at most like maybe 4 cards if you're playing the field spell. So if you're playing Snake Eye Fire King, that's like 5 cards then, I think. Okay. Or way where there's a will, just recycling is not like a detriment here. Shuffling all cards your opponent controls and in the graveyard into the deck. That would give your opponent back the Promethean Princess, so they could just special summon it again. So rough, unless you can really set up somehow after resolving way where there's a will, but you still have to do so against a fully established end board. So card overall, I would say, yeah, incredibly mid. Is there a way to elevate this card more? Yeah, I don't really think so. And actually, wait a second. During the main phase, the turn player can activate this effect. Oh, yo, did what? My opponent can actually activate way where there's a will. So after shuffling back all of your opponent's cards, they can activate way where there's a will, and during the end phase of any turn, a player activated 9 or more cards at once by this card's effect. That player can activate this effect. Shuffle all cards your opponent controls and in their graveyard into the deck. So if you like clap back too hard, you might get hit by the shuffle effect now for way where there's a will. So this card's actually like chicken game in the sense that both players can use the effects on this card. Wow, it gets worse every time I read it. But I guess there is this effect here. Does that mean something? Probably not. I guess this might be funny to put on an end board, see if your opponent can out your board with like a prosp effect, I suppose. So yeah, not great. And this specifically does put the card back, and it doesn't discard the card, right? So yeah, every single time I look at an aspect of this card, it gets worse. The fact that it doesn't get discarded or anything or sent to the graveyard means that we can't like use something with a graveyard effect and just send that for way where there's a will for like cost to kind of like make it feel less bad to shuffle back the 1 card or whatever. I guess the one upside to this card can actually put back garnets, like hard garnets. Like for example, if we wanted to make Dragoon, we can actually put back Red Eyes Fusion with this. So finally, a singular upside. But at this point, just play Plague Spreader Zombie, or just play like the Horus Field spell or something like. Just anything but this. Wow. If someone can find a way to make this work, now they must know something I don't, I guess. But yeah, you can expect to never see this card pretty much. So yeah, that's all I got for you guys today. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.